Well, hello there, football friends. So tonight I was joined by Gary Lavery, the newly adopted Lurgan footballer, Oxford Sunnyside's number 10. Gary Lavery, just home from his holidays. Delighted I was able to catch up with Gary. He's a new football friend, and I've really enjoyed listening to his stories so far. Hope you enjoy the podcast. Hope you enjoy this episode in particular. Remain awesome, football friends.
Keepie Uppies with Richie and Tots.
Gary, thanks for joining us. You're not long home from your European escapades.
Yeah.
We're delighted to get you on Keepie Uppies and get to hear the story behind the man. An adopted Lurgan man, I think it's fair to say, after bringing the Bob Radcliffe home, but we'll get on to that. We'll get on to that a little later.
Yeah.
So Gary, we'll kick off your story. So the first question we ask all our guests, what football team you support and where did the inspiration, the love and desire for football come from? Bring us right back to the beginning.
Yeah, no, I think I didn't really get a say in the matter. I was born into a Liverpool family. My dad and all my uncles and stuff were all massive Liverpool fans. So, Jesus, as far back as I can remember, I was always sat in front of the TV, watching the Liverpool games and stuff. And obviously, my favourite player, probably the one I watched the most and sort of way inspiration from and wanted to be like was Steven Gerrard. So yeah, no, just watching him and obviously how he played, the goals he scored and stuff like that. It was just something I always wanted to try and emulate, you know.
Oh, fantastic. It's a nice start to the conversation being a Liverpool fan. Unfortunately for you and your age, is you had to go through the difficult times at Liverpool.
Yeah.
You're only recently getting to enjoy the good.
Yeah, no, Jesus. I remember watching the teams, the likes of the team Kenny Dalglish had and Roy Hodgson and stuff, and some of the signings were mental. You know, you look back at some of the old team photos and Jesus, some of the players I had were absolutely terrible. Like David Ngo and all them boys. Jesus, it was hard to watch.
Brilliant. And then, so what was your first exposure to football as a kid? Where did that playing journey start for you?
It just sort of way was just always seemed to have a ball, and it was always sort of way playing. I obviously grew up on the on road in Belfast, and just as soon as I was old enough to be able to go out and play with my friends and stuff like that, there was always a ball involved, and even started before that. From I was 3 or 4 years old, I was kicking a ball around the garden, and we used to have it was literally more or less like a little bit of concrete and a small wall. There wasn't much room, but I was 3 or 4, and my mum always saying to me that I used to kick the ball around, and anytime it didn't go to the direction I wanted it to, it was I was shouting effing and playing at the ball, even at that age. So something that hasn't changed anyway. But
Absolutely.
yeah, no, probably from there. And then, like I say, the older I got, then I got to go out a bit more and started the venture outside of Hatfield Street. Then we used to play. All the streets had their own team, so it was we used to play crazy football with some mental tackles getting hit and stuff. But no, it was it really, and then progressed into. I think the first team I ever played for was maybe under nines, which was for Rosario, which is probably the closest club to me. And that's sort of way where the first time I got involved in like organised football and stuff. So
Brilliant. The Rosario, there's been a few conversations about Rosario. A few Lurgan men have played there as well. Tony McCourt, Stevie Kerr and stuff. Boys a bit older than me, even a bit older than you. But Marty Shields was a man from Rosario that always stood out for me. I'm not sure if you were involved with him at all, but Rosario, a
no,
great youth club.
yeah, no, it was even. Do you know where it probably actually came from? The school I went from. There was a couple of boys in the school, and you know, I was obviously was in the playground and stuff. I was obviously torturing everybody, was doing well, living the football, and they asked me who I played for, and I was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "I don't even play for a team." And they're like, "Oh, we play for Rosario," and that's the next thing I went up. And sort of way started from there. It was me straight up. They all had the Rosario gear on, and there was me standing with my Liverpool kit on, Gerrard number 8 in the back, and it went from there.
Happy days. So Rosario, till what age? Any standout memories going through that setup?
Rosario, I think it was there maybe until I was under 12, so I stayed there too, and then I went to Aquinas, which is actually their like rival club, funny enough. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, I done. I was lucky. It's actually good to have my uncle at the time used to go to all the games. That he had like a camcorder back then. There wasn't no like videos or anything like that. So, but he used to record all the games. So it was good to watch back. They were on YouTube there up until a couple of years ago, I think. But there were some of the highlights of the games, even from like under 10, under 11. It was good to watch back.
No.
And then I just ended up having to go and I can't even remember how it came about. And went and signed for Aquinas then. And then that was when I probably started locally making a bit of a name for myself. It was like the first season there, I scored. I was 79 goals or something in the year. And then that was before I was like the South Belfast Youth League and stuff then. And then there was all this talk about the National League that was starting. And that was where all the Irish League clubs were putting their young teams into, like the likes of Cliftonville and Linfield and stuff like that. So yeah, I was there. Obviously, it was as I say, Rosario with the under 12s, and then I went to Aquinas, and then moved on to Cliftonville then.
Brilliant. And as you said, so obviously all these goals, your prime position, striker in your early days.
Yeah, I was always a striker. When I loved scoring goals, that was to me was the best at the time. Anyway, it was the best feeling in football. Just couldn't beat hitting the back of the net, and seemed to have a knack for it naturally. I could always hit the ball quite hard, even when I was dead young. I could hit the ball harder and further than most people. So we used to play. That's not like now where they have, which I think is a good thing now. It's progressed into if you look at the younger teams, they have like smaller pitches and like maybe play like 7-a-side with the smaller goals and stuff. But we were all through on the like 9 and 10 years old through on the like full size pitches. So it was probably stupid looking like when you're standing to say watching, but with the big goals and stuff. I mean, anything above sort of a head height was usually in. But
yeah, so plenty of goals scored.
Yeah.
No, brilliant. So as I say, turning heads, making headlines, and Cliftonville then is your next step.
Yeah,
so how does that roll for you?
I was invited. Gary Griffin was the manager, the guy, and we played when I was at Aquinas. There was one of those, I can't remember. It was one of those mad cups that we were in anyway. But I think it was the Northern Ireland Cup actually, and all the youth teams were in. And we played Cliftonville up at Ballysill and Leisure Centre, and I think we lost the game 5-4. But I scored all 4 of our goals, and the manager came over to then after the game, and he says, "Look, is there any chance of getting them up?" And then it wasn't too long. It was just simple back then. All you had to do was go up and sign a wee registration form, and that was you. But then I went there. It was towards the end of the season, and I was in that the county excellence program and stuff back then. They used to have, and where now they have like the club NI type of setup. But back then it was county excellence program, which then led into obviously the Northern Ireland teams and stuff. But yeah, no, I went to Cliftonville more or less after that game. I started playing in the National League and stuff then. So I did so.
And how many years at Cliftonville?
What was that, under 13s then to under 15s? As I was playing in the National League, but that was way around the time where everyone was starting to the IFA were starting to look at who would be, in the next sort of way Northern Ireland squads for the Victory Shield and stuff like that. And, started to get a load of eyes on me and stuff, and then actually it wasn't too long. It was during that time I was at Cliftonville where I got my first trial with a professional club, which was Celtic. So I was there 2 years, and then I went to Glenavon after that. So I did.
Very good. So obviously Northern Ireland schoolboy football banging on the door as well as playing National League for Clifton for top Irish League clubs.
Yeah, I know it was good. Obviously, I think everybody used to, especially when you're in the county accident program and stuff. They used to have, I think it was every year they done like a big, like, it was like a residential type thing. You used to go down to Coleraine University for 4 days, and
Yeah,
they brought all the counties down, and we used to obviously train and stuff. And then out of that, they had all the, they used to pick the team then for like you say, learning schoolboys. But it was a good buzz. You used to get shown these. They would show you like they do these presentations, show you videos of players who have sort of came. They were in that program, say a couple of years previous, and then maybe got their move across the water or went on and played in the Irish League or whatever. And you sort of always aspired to try and get to that level then. So
yeah.
no, it was good.
So your time at your trial at Celtic, was that an eye opener? Did you feel like levels were much higher than what you were playing with here, or what was
I,
your thoughts and feelings on
it was like a sort of at that the Celtic team I actually played in was, it was obviously didn't know back then, but obviously, well, now he's doing well for himself. My roommate we went down to the, what was it called, the Hibernia Trophy, I think it was, down in Dublin.
it? Mm-hmm.
So we're down there for the week, got put up in the hotel or whatever. But my roommate was Kieran Tierney. So
Well,
obviously then, like, it was, I say to people all the time, he was very like unassuming. He was tiny. He looked almost like a wee bit of like a drowned rat. You know, he's just this wee skinny boy with big buck teeth or whatever. And you wouldn't have thought much of him, but he was good. He was quality. He was a good player. But yeah, there was a couple of boys in that Celtic team now where another one's actually Joe Thompson, who's just signed for Larne there in January. But yeah, no, you seen the fact that them boys were training, even if they were, I think it was under 15s, and they were still training maybe 4 times a week, whereas we were lucky training twice. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And just the quality of coaching that we're getting. Like, I mean, half the time, the boys coaching us were volunteers, really. You know what I mean? Just giving up their Tuesdays and Thursdays, and no matter what club I went to, but I always seemed to find himself a coat and try to bump into the training sessions or whatever else. But no, definitely you could tell even the level of opposition we played. I think the first game in that competition we played against Wolves, which was a good. Yeah, it was straight away. I mean, you're going from playing the likes of, obviously like you had your Linfield and St Oliver Plunkett or whatever, and then you're playing Wolves. You see the badge and all, and their kit, and you're going, "Geez, we're playing against a Premier League club here."
yeah.
So it was more probably daunting, and then as soon as I got that out of my system, and then see the thing about me, when I was a kid, I always had a lot of self belief, that I deserved to be there and deserved to be playing at that level. So
Yeah.
once I got comfortable, I used to struggle with that with like going to new teams or new changing rooms and stuff. I was shy enough as a kid. So once I got over that, then I got to know them and stuff. I sort of settled in. I was able to just go and play my football then. So that was good. I really, really enjoyed it.
Brilliant. As you said, at Glenavon, then back and forward. After Glenavon, there's a few more trips back and forward to England. You talked about it to me briefly one of the Saturdays, but send us on that journey and the highs and lows of that.
Yeah, I went to Glenavon. There was actually a guy, I always liked him as a manager. And still this day, I'd be very, very fond of him. John McDowell's name is. He was the manager of the Glenavon team, and there was, I always admired the team, the way, even the style of play that I was on their 15s, and they always try to play really, really nice football. And had the likes of Andy Hoy now, he's at Loughgall, he was there, and a couple of other boys who are still playing, championship and the Irish League and stuff. And I was just a team that I thought I could add a lot to. And I went and I done well, scored a lot of goals there as well. And I think it was in the same season, I think it was in the space of maybe 3 or 4 months. It was under 15s. Or under 16s, sorry. I went from the under 16s to the under 18s to the reserves of the first team within the space of 4 months.
Wow.
So Gary Hamlin, he was brilliant with me. So he was really gave me a lot of belief and told me, like, I was always sort of way a bit doubtful. I was going straight into men's football, and you're seeing, because I'm small now, but I've got a wee bit about me. But back then I was very small and skinny or whatever, and he just more or less just gave me confidence to believe in my ability, and
Yeah.
if you're good enough, you're old enough, that type of thing. So no, that was a brilliant experience. And then the guy, what was his name? Alex Denver, I think his name um, was the head of the academy at Glenavon at the time, but he was also a scout for Aston Villa. So obviously he was down watching the road of the games and stuff, and there was me and another boy, Jason Greenaway. He sent the two of us over on trial for 5 days we went for. And remember the first game we played Derby County, and one of the boys who was, what was his name? There was a wee boy played left back anyway, but he was already in the Aston Villa academy. But the team was made more or less up of a full like trialist team. You had boys from Sweden and Finland and all these places in Europe, and not one of them had a clue what I was trying to say to them. Like, but you scream at somebody loud enough, they'll give you the ball. But this wee boy anyway, he said, coaches over here, he says they love it when you just come flying out of the traps, high intensity. And I was like, right, on. I wasn't really the most pressing of players anyway. I used to sort of just wait until the ball came to me. But anyway, just from flying out of the traps from a kick off, managed to nip a ball off the midfield and went on a bit of a run. And one of them, the keeper let on the head up and just scooped it over his head and put his 1-0 up. And I think I went on to scored another two. It was my first game for them. I scored a hat trick. So they were very impressed with me and stuff then, and asked me to. Well, they were looking at me to sign a pre-contract at the time, and what they done was sort of way came to a deal with like my school and stuff or whatever. So every Friday I used to get out of school early, and this was for a full season more or less. And I would have went home to change, got my suitcase, and straight over. They flew me over on the Friday night. I used to play the league game for the under 18s on the Saturday, and then they flew me home on the Saturday night. So that was a great experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, you'd made a hell of an impression. They were prepared to get over back and forward as need be.
Yeah, no, they were very. I think the guy who was in the head of the academy at the time was a guy called Sean Kimberley, but he was very, very keen on getting me to sign and stuff. But I think it was too young still. Had just turned 15, I think 14, 15. But there was because as well, I didn't want to jump into anything because I was back and forward to Celtic a couple of times after that as well, and Birmingham and a couple of other clubs. But no, Villa was brilliant. So it was the first time I'd seen a proper Premier League setup. The training ground and stuff. It was that we used to. I remember they got me and they took me into the office more or less after that first game, and they took me and my dad and took us the whole way around Bodymore Heath, I think their training ground is. Took us the whole way around, showed us the first team changing room, the pool and stuff, all the physio, and they were telling us that like their training pitch is cut the exact same dimensions as Villa Park is, as well. It was you're well, so you couldn't imagine it. Like, it was brilliant.
That's it. You only such a young boy still, like living the dream there. Getting a flavour for it. And as you said, despite as you talked about your size or it was all down to your ability, and it's football that changed through, isn't it? Really. So it's great to hear that. Where people would have talked about stature and size and this and that, the other. If you can do it with a ball and you're smart enough and intelligent enough, the right people will push you on.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's 100. I think that's one thing that's always sort of way probably worked in my favour and stuff, is that I try anyway to be maybe a couple of steps if you're sort of way, if you have the right understanding of football anyway, you can be a couple of steps ahead even on the pitch. If you're 2 or 3 passes ahead in your head, then
Yeah.
no, it's easy enough to then obviously you don't have to get into those physical altercations. You don't have to get wrestled out of the way if you can sort of be 2 or 3 steps ahead. So, but no, it was brilliant. especially going over there as well. I think the amount in that year alone that I sort of way progressed technically, and tactically sort of way getting, because you don't really, obviously when you're playing youth football over here, there's no word to really, even senior football, it's at a certain, until you get maybe to the Irish League or whatever, there's no real talk of like tactics and passages of play, and briefly touched on, but it's not like over there, like you're sat down maybe the morning of the game or the day before, and you do maybe a full hour or 2 hours just in a classroom, going through specific shapes and where you should be out of possession, in possession, and it's more or less, it's like you're sitting in school sort of way. Whereas before, which I used to struggle with, I used to find it dead boring. You know what I mean? Because I grew up, you just wanted somebody threw a ball at you and just said right away you go, which is what I was used to. But they were all like, they were like robots. A lot of them, you know what I mean? They're all. It was like I used to say it all the time. It was funny. I was talking a training the other week. I was talking to Paddy McRory, and he was asking like, did I realise much of a difference in the standard of the players and stuff? But there was none. I find a lot of those academy products, they're all the same. If you watch, they maybe have 4 or 5 players in the same position. They're literally just like robots. They learn the same way. It's just like a production line. Whereas when they're pulling players from the likes of the different countries or in Europe or even from over here, they're almost like a bit raw. They have that something different, something like almost not afraid to colour outside the lines type of thing. Which is where I think you produce creative players and stuff like that. So, but no, it was definitely a learning experience, the whole tactical side of it and stuff too.
That's as you say, it can nearly curtail your development if depending on what type of person you are. If you just go into that robot mode and just toe the line, where the flair players will shine if they're given the platform to do it.
No, definitely, and I was lucky enough. In the end, I obviously signed for my scholarship with Cardiff City. I was lucky. The guy who, the academy manager who signed me was a guy called Dick Bate, and he was previously the head of the English FA and all their their youth setup. And he brought the likes like Wayne Rooney and Michael Owen, all them boys through.
Yeah.
So he was like I obviously didn't know who he was until I went, but done my sort of my research and stuff, and like he was like the sentence used to describe him was like the Sir Alex Ferguson of youth football. And I remember this guy was like an encyclopedia, this guy, but he was, and it was strange, he was dead old fashioned in certain ways, and how you should be off the pitch, and you had to wear black boots and all this carry on, but no, he just more or less just handed you a blank canvas and just says, go and express yourself, show me what you can do. So that helped me a lot.
Oh, fantastic! Nurtured your ability and let you go and express yourself, as you say. That's the sign of a good manager,
No, definitely, yeah.
Brilliant. And if you talk about Ferguson, the type of players he had around him, that he allowed, let's say, he had boys towing the line, and then he had the likes of Cantona, where he needed to express himself so that you got the best out of him, and knowing your players, knowing the approach to the right. So,
definitely. I think it's a major thing in management, I think, anyway. So don't get me wrong, I've never managed a team but I think it's you've got so many different individuals in a squad, and I think the likes of Alex Ferguson and stuff done it brilliantly, and in terms how he handled all the personalities and sort of we got them all pulling in the same direction and got the best out of all of them. You know what I mean? And I think his record sort of spoke for itself. As much as I don't like talking about Man United, but
absolutely. We'll move on swiftly. You talked about there. You just mentioned it, the scholarship. So talk us through that process. So I'm assuming there'll be a bit more schooling in that scenario as well, which obviously holds you in good stead. How was that for you?
Yeah, well, it was funny. I was sitting I was in school. I was an RE in school. It must have been about an hour left at school, and my phone started ringing. And obviously, you weren't supposed to have your phone out or whatever. And I was ringing. I didn't recognise the number. I was like, "What's going on?" next thing I got a voicemail, and the voicemail came through. I stuck a hand up. I says, "Miss, can I go to the toilet?" So yeah, go ahead. That's the third time you've went in the last 20 minutes, but go on. And I was out like a shot, got the voicemail up, and it was the guy I was telling you about, that Grady, just introduced himself, and he says, "Look, because I'd just been back. I was on it was on my 15th birthday, or my 16th birthday, sorry, that I'd been over and I played at the Cardiff City Stadium in a trial game. But he had rung me, this was a couple of days after, and he says, in the voicemail, he just introduced himself. He says, "Look, would like you to come on board, and would like to sign you and give you a scholarship for 2 years. And if you get this call, give me a call back." And left my school bag in the class and everything, just bolted straight out the door, straight down to the house. And then I went and told my dad, obviously the whole family and everything was buzzing, whatever. But yeah, no, that's sort of way everything just over the next couple of weeks and months then after that sort of way started kicking in for me. And probably the worst time it could have happened, because I had my GCSEs maybe a week or two later and just didn't want to do anything. I just kicked the feet up, thought to myself, sure, I'm a footballer now, you know. But still managed to do all right out of it. But then, yeah, no, got over there, and straight away you were sit down, you were sort of given the full layout of it. We had education on a Monday morning, the 12, and then like you went and you would do a football session then in the afternoon. But the education was like it was some sort of MVQ type of thing. But you got like, I think it was like an MVQ in sport or something along them lines. Which, to be fair, there wasn't too much done in the classrooms. To be fair, the tutor, he was like a saint, to be fair. But no, it was dead on. We got through that, and then we would have done like a double session on the Tuesday, double football session, which was intense. Was never used to training twice in a day. And then a Wednesday was you done like a full day of education then. Again, the same thing, the MVQ, and there's a couple of different other things. Thursday was again training, and then Friday you were either travelling for a game, or you were doing like match prep. It was short, like a sharp session. You had gym sessions and stuff in it as well, which was something I had never really done before. Which I remember the first time doing it, I couldn't move for a week, doing a proper session. Like, but no, it was brilliant. It was good. Like, it was the first time, your first proper taste going, Jesus, this is what it's like to be a footballer type of thing.
Yeah.
And it was you were living your dream to a degree, but we also got, which was good. We had to do a coaching badge,
Yeah.
for the football, like through the English FA and stuff. So, it was, I can't remember what it was. It was like the level 2 or something. Like, I don't know what it gets you or anything like, but I have the certificate there if I ever need to use it.
That's it. Don't be saying that. You'll be getting called upon very quickly.
No.
Very good. Any standout memories of the time at Cardiff? Any big games? Any people you've rubbed shoulders with that are?
The big game, there was a couple of the FA Youth Cup games and stuff. I didn't actually get playing in the game. I was unfortunate. I had a bad leg break. Basically, I had just been back from international duty. I was away with under 17s. It was actually away. We ended up coming home and we played the 2 games at Solitude. And I done well against Czech Republic. And then flew back on the Friday. So the manager said to me, "Look, you're not in the squad for Saturday because you only came back and we were away playing for Northern Ireland or whatever." And he says, "But we'll have like a Welsh Cup game on the Sunday." Because we had a massive squad. You had like first years and second year scholars, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there was loads of players. And I says, "Right, no problem." He says, "I'll put you in the squad." So they were 8-0 up. Didn't start on a Sunday. They were 8-0 up, and there was 3 minutes left. And he turned around to me and says, "Right, come on, get ready." I said, "Jesus Christ, he's serious? There's 3 minutes left here." Like, And he says, like, well, if you don't go on now because you're not playing next week, can we right straight on? Gets the ball, he put me on the left. I went past the guy, stuck it through the other one's legs, and this guy just came out of nowhere, just boom, 2 foot, double fracture.
Dear me.
I swear to God, first touch of the ball. And I knew straight away, just the sound, I just was lying on the ground, just screaming, my legs broke. And obviously, it was the physios and stuff over there are top notch, you know what I mean? So they were straight on it. But they tried to give me like gas and air, morphine and stuff, and I didn't have any morphine, and the gas and air was empty. So,
that's interesting. I had a similar situation when I broke my leg the second time.
yeah, no,
no gas and air. Going around the roundabouts of Craigavon, every bump on the road.
Oh Jesus! I'm sure you're gonna test how painful it is, but yeah, no. And then a couple of weeks later, we played Chelsea in the FA Youth Cup, and there was like 10,000 or 8 to 10,000 people at the Cardiff City Stadium for a Youth Cup game. It was on Sky Sports and everything. Actually, it wasn't on Sky Sports. Sorry, it was on Chelsea TV, but it was on Sky. And they had like thing played up top of them. Tommy Abraham, Loftus-Cheek played centre mid. You're seeing all these. I remember our manager goes to us before the game, sitting in the same room as me and my crutches, but he's sitting and his team talk was like Loftus-Cheek and all these mad like exotic names and stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, they're just the exact same as us, but only they've got fancy names. And I was like, oh, no way. I think Loftus-Cheek was probably getting about 40 grand a week at the time.
No doubt.
Oh no, he was insane. He was still the same size, and he was only 17. You know what I mean? But and then there was a couple of times. I remember the first time I got to go up to the first team because we had a separate training ground to the first team. So the first time getting to go up the first team, change the room and stuff, and you see all Craig Bellamy was the captain of the club at the time, and his son was actually in my team, and I got on quite well with him. And they brought over, he had like the Craig Bellamy Foundation, and he brought over a kid from Sierra Leone. A wee guy, never forget him. He had like a wee mohawk. He was absolutely lethal, but like he literally didn't even have a pair of boots. But he used to tell me like Steve, like he spoke good English and stuff. To be fair, he obviously, I think he paid, obviously could put them through education, whatever. But they used to all play like barefooted and stuff. But that was an eye opener, you know, that experience, because he lived with us for about a month, and it was weird because he wouldn't even slept on. There was obviously he had to get a bed and stuff for him, but he used to sleep on the floor and all. So just shoot, and then you were going, Jesus, this is madness. But no, there was a couple of times Bellamy actually gave me a cracking pair of his boots with the CB on them and the Welsh flag and stuff on the back. Well, he was there. He looked after me well because one of his good friends is actually a close family friend of ours, so there was that link there, and he was sort of told to keep an eye out on me. We used to, the odd time he took me home from training and stuff, you know, seeing his cars like a Bentley GT Continental or big Range Rovers and all, and you're going, Jesus Christ, this is it.
Yeah.
You know.
Also, Bellamy's Liverpool fan, remember?
Yeah, exactly.
He did play for us. No, very good. Very good. So what age are you with the broken leg? 17?
My first, I was 16.
16?
16, yeah. I was just the turn of or just before the new year. Yeah, I was 16. Not long turned 16, and it was a long way back. I was out on total 13 months. They tried to bring me back after I think it was like 5 or 6 months. And obviously the progressions of getting back, you go out on the pit and you start to do like running first and stuff and make sure all your run mechanics and all are all spot on. But I was doing this run that was like an agility run. You had to change direction sharp. And I was running, sprinting, felt great. Went in direction, went to push off the leg and just heard bump, the big crack. And oh my God, I was down squealing in pain again. It actually re-broke. So it was, as it turned, it was just complete. It snapped again. The smaller one of the two. What is it? The fibula? Yeah. So yeah, and then that was put me out. Then it was a bit of a more complicated one, so it put me out for a bit longer.
Is it? So where does that take you on the journey then? on your road to recovery after
Yeah, well,
the
like,
second break?
I got back, man. Just just before the end of the season, and we flew out to Portugal for like an end of the season sort of a training camp at Villa Moura, I think you call it, in Portugal. They had this big sports complex and stuff, and there was all these villas, and we all stayed in like the villas. 3 or 4 players in each villa, and trained every day and done your gym or whatever. And then we played. That was sort of I was just got back to full training then at the start of that, and we played the 2 teams. The first team we played was, I think they're they were at the time anyway, like a second division team side in Portugal, Portmanense or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second team we played was Benfica. So we got to go to Benfica's training ground and played against them. And that was an experience. That was a running match. I don't think I touched the ball once. But they had some cracking players. I think Renato Sanchez played for them and stuff. So
Fantastic. Your Keepie Uppies is going to be interesting when we get round to them questions.
yeah,
Players you've
Jesus,
already
no.
mentioned. So, who was your next club? As I said, Tiger Woods doesn't have as many as the journey continues.
Do you know, I was saying that to Julie the other day. I was writing them down. And I just found I'm going to have to start a couple of this here. But no, yeah, it was. It came more or less came. There was like a couple of months left in my contract, and you have they more or less give you a decision. They more or less made it clear that they weren't gonna. I was out for such a long time and stuff. They're like, "Oh, we haven't really seen you," type of thing. So we're not going to give you a pro contract, and I said, "Well, I'm not going to stay to the end of the season. Then there's no point. I'll go and try and myself another club." So, first thing I done was I went home. Because I struggled quite a lot. Because a lot of people think you're just training every day and it's great and you're just playing football and it's a gift. But you maybe train some days and you're finished for 12 o'clock and you go home and you sit in a room with 4 walls and maybe just yourself. You know what I mean? You spend a lot of time yourself. Your head and all starts to go a wee bit like. But so I struggled a lot with that. So it was good to get home and get back around people that I was used to being around and your home comforts type of thing. And I actually went back and signed for Glen at the end of the season. Just to keep myself fit while I was going on trial and stuff. And I went to Fleetwood then. Not time, maybe I was too. That's what it was. I was only home a week, and I didn't want to be away. I was just glad to be home or whatever. And, I got a phone call, basically saying that I was looked over, to go over to Fleetwood on trial. I remember saying to my dad, I was like, I'm not going. I was like, no way. I was like, I'm sick of it again. And I think he more or less stuck me in a headlock and dragged me down to the airport. But I went, and the first 2 days I hated it. Like, I just didn't want to be there at all. And then I started to say to myself, you know what, maybe have this opportunity and maybe a couple more before the end of the season to get a pro contract. So I just went for it then, and I had a really good trial game. We played against the Nike Academy down at St George's Park, which was a brilliant experience. And then it was Graham Alexander was the manager at the time, and he pulled me into the office and you sit down. It's like being on The Apprentice or something. You're crapping yourself, and he more or less says, "Look, we want to offer you a pro contract and stuff." And I went from there. I was buzzing. Then I went home and finished out the rest of the season with Glenavon, again, just keeping myself fit and signed my pro contract in July, and then I moved over there. So
fantastic. And you'd been through a bit of trauma with the broken legs, and you showed the resilience to come back and fight strong, and say you chased down your dream and got that pro contract.
Yeah, well, I think it's something nobody can take away from me. You know what I mean? I can
100%.
say I signed a pro contract, and for however long anyway, I was a professional footballer. So no, it's something definitely I'm proud of, and I think more so it was looking like a while that I wasn't really going to be able to come back and sort of maybe be as quick as it was or as agile. The leg might have hindered me a bit, but I was always convinced that it wasn't going to be the case, and sort of I overturned the odds on that, and I still feel athletic and fit, quick or whatever. So yeah, no, it was definitely an accomplishment for me.
No, absolutely fantastic. So after Fleetwood, now the running order I have is Irish League, Linfield, Carrick Rangers.
Yeah, so I was in Fleetwood. I don't know, it was good. I enjoyed the first couple of months or whatever, and then it was just, it was, again, it's similar, something that I touched on there not too long ago, just about we were like, in this, it was one of them. Have you ever been to Blackpool and you see that all is just the B&Bs or whatever?
Yeah,
They
yeah,
more or less done one of them up and call it like a digs type of thing. But you had all the reserve team players and the youth team players in the same digs. But during the week it was brilliant crack. You know, you had maybe 40 or 50 kids more or less just having a crack. You know, it was mayhem. But people getting food on the stairs and all, it was good crack. But um, yeah, there was a thing. There was basically there was these two people that looked after us, Anne and Paul. There were these two Scottish people, like an older Scottish couple and stuff. Now they were dead on, but their food was laden. It was absolutely horrendous. So you, you couldn't even enjoy the food. I remember you used to have to get my mum and dad to send me over like a parcel with like just stuff from home, just so, you know, like super noodles and all. Like,
yeah. Just
my
missing your
dad's
home
like,
comforts.
my dad
Absolutely.
was saying to me, but you can buy super noodles in the shop around the corner. I was like, nah, but I want the ones from home. But yeah, no, but that's what it was like. It was just to sort of get that wee taste of home. And on the
Yeah,
weekends, then all the other boys, apart from there was me, and then there was two other boys from Belfast that were over, but they were in the youth team. Um, they got like all the rest of the boys were all sort of way local, like Manchester and stuff like this. So they all got to go home at the weekends, and then it was just the three of us and looking at each other in the best big
yeah,
hotel, and with nothing to do. You know, we were bored, like. I just started to get fed up with it because they were like youth team players, the sort of way where they were getting like go home maybe every second or third week, you know, and I
yeah.
was asking to go home maybe once every 2 or 3 months. I was just no, no. And I was like, right, okay. I started to get fed up with it then. Hadn't been home at all, and then they were telling me going home for Christmas and stuff, and I was like, nah. But then you forget like you're like a pro at that time, so you're
Yeah.
expected to play on Boxing Day or whatever, and you had to train on Christmas Day and all this, and that was all new to me. Like I'd never done anything. I'd never been away from home for Christmas for a start, and it started to
Yeah.
freak out a wee bit. But then, long story short, got called up for the Northern Ireland under 19 team for the elite round of the Euros, and I was over in Russia, and basically the week before we had to go to the Russian embassy in London to get like our visas and stuff sorted. So um they sent this big car up the Manchester, and I had to get the train and get down to London anyway. But I had my suitcase. I just decided, like I said, I'm away here. I'm going home. Had my suitcase
Hmm.
packed, PlayStation and everything in the bag. Straight down I went, and thing. Hadn't even told the club I was going or anything. But I went down the London anyway, and there was a couple of boys um had flew over from Belfast. They were also in the squad, and I knew there was a flight of them was going home. So chanced my arm, and I said to the guy who was obviously took them ones over. I says, "Look, is there any chance you can book me on that flight on the way home?" And he was able to. He got it sorted. So I flew
That
home.
was it.
Never ever went back.
Yeah, back to the home comforts. And is this, in fairness to you, like, you've achieved a hell of a lot for such for one so young, and you've been away from home for so long and had the difficulties, the broken legs, and all that sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
to actually just crave a bit of comfort, a bit of an arm around the shoulder from your loved ones.
No, definitely. It's like
There's nothing wrong with that.
it's very like it's easy for people to sit and criticize and say, "Oh, well, you could have done this," or "You're stupid for making that decision," or whatever. But at the end of the day, I know how I felt and know in that moment, and know that if I was in the same situation and felt the same way 100 times out of 100, I'd have made the same one. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
and
yeah, no, it's just look, it's one of them. I do sometimes now maybe regret it a wee bit in terms of like could have done something different, but then I do think back to how I felt, you know,
yeah,
and say whatever, and I know that I made the right decision in coming home. But probably the way I handled coming home wasn't right. It's something I will say. You know, I probably should have had a conversation with the club or whatever. And uh, even alone, maybe back home would have been a probably a better
Yeah,
solution. But
yeah,
look, I just was, as soon as I got type of person, as soon as I get something in my head, I go with it, and I don't really take much on board other than how I feel, which can be your own downfall at times. But sure,
well, as I say, your self-awareness there, you knew that you weren't happy, and you knew where the happiness lay, and the happiness lay at home.
no,
So,
definitely, yeah.
so you chased it down and done what was best for yourself. As you say, other people could wallow in it and make it make it bad on them. But you,
Mm-hmm.
you took charge of the situation, So again and again, being a young man, that is to be admired, in my opinion.
Yeah,
So fair
no,
play.
I appreciate that. Thank you, but yeah, but then obviously went to Linfield and after that, but it was the link there was the guy who was my agent at the time was actually David Healy's agent as well. So
Hmm.
um just he made a phone call obviously the Dave and said, look, obviously Gary's coming home or whatever, and can you come down and train me, see what you think, whatever. I went down. Actually had a couple of sessions at Glentoran first, and they 2-year contract, but um then went the train at Linfield and stuff, and just the whole surroundings of it, and playing at Windsor, thought of playing at Windsor, and obviously David Healy having the reputation that he has and stuff, it was just a bit more appealing to me. Um,
Yeah.
and he had been involved in some of our Northern Ireland squads and stuff before that. When he was doing his coaching badges and stuff, so I already had a sort of way established a relationship with him. So that was
Hmm.
the decision. It was easily. I had actually had a great time at Linfield. In fairness, it was one of the most enjoyable times I've had at the club. I don't know if that was just through being at home and being able to go and play my football or what, but I started to love it again.
Yeah. No, brilliant, brilliant. So say good times at Linfield, and then so just quickly, because I appreciate I've had you here for 45 minutes. So fast track us from Linfield, then you've had another few clubs to be where you are today at Oxford Sunnyside, which I can personally say I'm delighted to have you on board. But how
Thank you.
did from say how did the move to Oxford Sunnyside come around? Was there any scenarios in between for you to end up with us ultimately? Any standout memories or any standout situations? And
Um,
how did that move then to their second stint in Lurgan? How did that
yeah, I know.
come to be about?
But basically, I think as far back as maybe 2019, the first time I was sort of, because I obviously I work for McCrory's, for Ford Paddy.
Yeah,
So it's obviously there was the link there. I got 2019. I think I was not great at the time, and he had reached out and said, would I fancy coming down or whatever. And at the time, I was playing the championship, and uh, I was sort of thinking to myself, I didn't want to really mix like work and pleasure type of thing, just because
yeah,
I was like, no, my luck, the type of temper that I had, especially then, was sort of just throw the head up every other week, and sort of saying to myself, I don't want to fall out with him in the football and then it would affect work or whatever. But it's obviously not been like that at all. But then it was maybe, I think it was in July there. Obviously Kieran Rand been at the club a long time. We work with him as well. Um, which is always bright and colourful. But I was working with him, and he had said he was back at the football and stuff, and he'd asked me that I fancied it, and I was like, what? Actually, I wouldn't mind playing football because I completely finished. I was boxing and stuff and all doing. I was doing all sorts, but um, I was completely finished with football as far as I was concerned there in the summer. And he said, "Look, would you come down to fancy or whatever?" And I thought he was only joking at the start. I was like, "Do you know what? Actually, can I go ahead?" And then I started. I got a word with Paddy and stuff again. I went down and played one friendly. I think it was against Lower Mays. And then it was just a good fit. And I just went, I've seen to have a good team here. And the conversation I had with Paddy was that he was going to give me the opportunity to sort of to play on a regular basis, and that's all I really
yeah,
wanted. So I was happy enough then to come down and sign.
yeah. I remember your debut actually at Lower Mays game.
I
Uh,
remember me slipping and giving the ball away, and they scored for it as well. I was going, oh Jesus.
I do indeed. I remember that too, but I'll never hold it against you. Throw us back a wee bit there now. And again, when I did first meet you back then, you did say that you'd done a bit of boxing and whatnot. How did so you had stepped away from football and you were involved in other things. How'd that come around? Was it just natural progression, or you thought you were taking a break, or?
Yeah, well, from I was been, because all my dad and my uncles and stuff are boxers, had sort of a quite colourful amateur careers and stuff. So, from I was very young, I was taught to box straight away, and I was boxing out of St George's. A couple of times when my dad could get the time off work to take me down when I was younger, and then started getting into the MMA and stuff as well, and then football sort of way just took over, so it was forgot about. But then, uh, it sort of way started as I was leaving Fleetwood and stuff, and after started to go on a bit of a slide for me with the football. I left Linfield, went to Carrick, then went to Anna, and then Crumlin and Star. Just started, I was like, Jesus, I'm just going down and down and down here. So I just said I retired myself at 19, and says, look, I'll try a different sport, and went and done the MMA and done quite well in the MMA. I was actually selected for the Northern Ireland team to go and fight in the World Championships over in Bahrain, but I couldn't go because they gave me about a week's notice, and I would have had to raise like 2.5 grand just to get over.
Yeah.
So that didn't. But then, yeah, no, the boxing, a chance came up there in July to fight for the IBA super welterweight title, I think it was, and I took the fight. Obviously, it was just me and another guy that I work with. Sort of way done our own bit. He obviously has a lot of boxing experience, but we just trained ourselves more or less in the gym, and um, I just went in and fought. It was like 1st of July or whatever, and yeah, no, I won. I knocked the guy out in the third round. So, and then I was like, you know what? It was the most perfect punch I've ever thrown in my life. I was like, I'll retire on that. Um, that'll do me. I've got the belt and everything. So,
Brilliant.
yeah, no, that's nailed the wall now, and I'm glad to be back. Actually, fell in love with football again, which is something I didn't think I would ever say.
No, that's great to hear. Great to hear. Let's say you're a maverick, and no matter what you put your mind to.
I
Brilliant,
will. I'll try anyway.
brilliant. And how you find it then? Your first full season here. You've tasted silverware for us. The club themselves are delighted to have you on board, and it's been a joy of a season so far.
Yeah, do you know what, Richie? It's actually, you said first full season. It's probably the first full season I'm likely to finish in maybe 5 or 6 years. So that was an achievement, but no, I've completely fell in love with the club, to be honest. As you see, even fell Harper down the little stars on a Sunday, and then talk Jody and go down and train with the women's team or whatever. It's
Yeah,
just
fantastic.
really became fully enthralled by it, and just have such a, I don't know, it struck me dead. The family feel to it, I guess, probably, and it's nice to be appreciated. And there's been a lot of clubs where I feel like I haven't been appreciated, but no, everybody likes yourself, everybody else that helps out on a Saturday, and they're just, no matter what, rain, hail, or snow, they're there every week, and it's just something that I admire. And even all the boys and stuff, it's they're the crack and everything's brilliant. But in time to work, we're obviously a good team, and the coaches, the likes of Pete, obviously plays too, but the experience that man
Yeah,
has is priceless. And the likes of Paddy, it's brilliant having the manager who trusts you enough to play every week. That's
yeah.
that's the main thing for me.
No, it's great. Fantastic. Listen, we'll kick on with Keepie Uppies. Well, you happy enough?
Yes, 100%.
Quite the tale so far. We're going along with this podcast, but I don't care because it's a story worth telling. But I need to find my questions. Right, so we can do these just as you see fit. So the best I've ever played for.
um, in terms of the best team, probably ability ways I ever played for. I have I have two separate answers for it, but first one in terms of ability was probably the Aston Villa team that I got to play in for the season. The likes of like Jack Grealish and um, Callum Robinson and stuff played in that team. So ability ways, that team by far. But in terms of probably in senior football, and based on purely in terms of the people in the club and the players and how much I actually enjoy playing for the team, um, Oxford, I would say, would be my favourite team that I've played for so far.
Wow, that's fantastic to hear. Really
So
is. We're doing something right there. Whatever we're doing, we're on the right
I know
track.
definitely
On the
know
right
it
track.
is. It's great.
All right, brilliant. All right, so
Best captain I had. I said I give my mate Daggy McVeigh a shout for this because no, he's brilliant. He's just the way he conducts himself, the way he plays. He's just all or nothing type of thing, and he doesn't. He's maybe not the most outside in the dressing room and stuff or like that. He mightn't be the most verbal in terms of going around and getting people on their feet type of thing, but I think he just leads as a captain. He's like a general on the pitch and stuff, and we'll give him the nod for that one.
100%, 100%. I say he was complimentary of yourself when I was chatting to him
No,
on
I
the
sort of told him I
podcast.
owed him one, so I did. So.
All right, best goal scorer.
Best goal scorer was I had Darren Murray. Played with, and well, actually, I had two. Darren Murray and Michael McClellan played with the both of them at the Welders. And then Darren Murray, I think he's probably had more clubs than me, to be fair. He's probably one of the only ones. But yeah, no, he's just always, both of the two of them didn't need too many chances to score. And some of the finishes, it didn't matter. Back to goal on the volley, right foot, left foot in the air. They were both very, very good. Very similar players as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went with those.
Oh, brilliant. All right, so best touch.
Best touch was Barry McCurvey, plays for Crumlin Star. He's about 50. And his boots are about 50-year-old as well. But no, he was brilliant. He was like a wizard. And it's just hard to believe he's never ever played at any other club than Crumlin Star. He was a
Yeah,
one club man, but he was very, very good.
brilliant. There's boys out there that are just happy to be playing at a club playing football. There's a lot to be said for that as well.
No, it definitely
You're
is. It's something
happy
that
in yourself and you're enjoying what you're doing.
exactly. No, it is. It's good to see as well. There's boys out there. It definitely is.
Brilliant. All right, so best keeper, best defender, best midfielder, and best striker.
Best keeper was a boy who was the keeper when I was at Cardiff at the time. Joe Mazzaro, his name was, and he was actually my digs mate as well. But the only thing that let him down was he was quite small for a goalkeeper. But he was, you want to see his agility and stuff was outrageous. Some of the saves he made, you're just going to yourself, "How's you got that?" You know what I mean? But he was top class. Defender was a difficult one. I struggled with it, but does it count? Does fullbacks count as well, or just centre halves? Or
Absolutely. Defender, just as you say.
yeah, defender. I mean, the obvious one I have to probably go with because I played with him at Celtic was Kieran Tierney. Sort of way speaks for itself. Where he
Yeah.
is now, obviously playing at Arsenal, probably unlucky not to be getting the game time he wants, but he obviously wasn't physically as progressed as he is now, but even on the ball and his decision making and his positioning out of possession and stuff was brilliant. What was the midfielder next?
Midfielder, yeah.
Best midfielder. I went for, again, just looking where he is now was Jack Grealish. That was something else. I remember we were doing a drill. Obviously, didn't know who Jack Grealish was. He was just the player for the team. He was the captain or whatever. And I remember the team talk used to be every week used to be you're at these clubs and they're doing all these mad tactical team talks, and the team talk of that Villa team was just give the ball to Jack and you're right dead on. But no, he was on another planet, and obviously he's one of the top players in the Premier League and stuff at the minute. So, what's that? Best striker? Best striker again. Alluded to earlier on. If I have to pick one, I'll go Darren Murray. Just obviously it speaks for itself. He's been at obviously some of the top clubs in the country, and like I said, he could just if he had his head screwed on probably a bit better, he would have achieved a whole lot more. But on his day, ability wise and stuff, he was a very, 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 very good player.
All right, brilliant. All right, the toughies now. Best left foot and best right foot.
Left foot, I've went with Bricky, Barry McCurvey. Just his delivery, it's one of those left foot, just his delivery time and time again, whether it be a corner or a free kick, just perfect, absolutely perfect every time. Crosses into the box, so for that reason, and his touch as well. So I'm gonna go for Bricky on that one. Right foot, I sort of I've came a bit. I've went for. He's actually playing for Linfield at the moment. Stevie Fallon. I've went with.
Mhm.
Played with Stevie growing up, obviously through all the county programs, whatever. And I got to play with him in Northern Ireland and stuff. And then was signed for Linfield at the same time. So he's still there. He's still doing well. But I went with Stevie Fallon on that one.
All right, brilliant. This one will probably, with the list of clubs, there's bound that there was a hell of a lot of managers. So, best manager.
Yeah. It's the thing. It's managers maybe in terms of what the manager I won the most with. I would probably have to say Chew Trainer at Crumlin Star. The best manager in terms of coach who I had was a Fleetwood, a guy called Barry Nicholson. He was a Scottish guy. He brilliant as man management. He just really quite. I don't know. It was probably quite difficult at times, me, but he. We just had a really good. He clicked really well. He was very patient with me and stuff. Even when I was getting frustrated and stuff, and he took a lot of time. That sort of way helped me out. But I would say probably Barry Nicholson would be my favourite. But I have to give a mention, obviously, to the gaffer, Paddy McRory, just for purely being probably the first manager in a long time that's told me that he would give me regular football and he trust and give me the trust and confidence to play every week, and he has done so. I'm thankful for that, and to give him a shout out for that as well.
I think, in fairness, you're returning the favour with your performances. You've been lighting up the intermediate this year.
No,
So,
well, it's nice to be able to obviously contribute to the team,
yeah.
and it's good to obviously put in good performances, and you feel good about yourself, and you contribute to whether it's goals or assists or whatever. And no, I'm really really enjoying it. So it's half the battle.
Big time. All right. Player that loves a hard challenge and the quickest player.
I was going to say I was the quickest players. I was going to say Adam Rad's for the hardest challenger. He's definitely not the quickest, but even though he's giving me grief for on Tuesday, it was the last night or training. He was saying obviously it's with Disneyland there, and I put a bit of timber on. They were saying to me they thought I'd swallowed Mickey Mouse, but that's Adam. He tried to tell me I was fatter than him now. It's obviously not true, but no, definitely there was only one man for it. He had jumped out in front of the Polar Express to win the ball, but yeah, no, Adam Rogers definitely.
Brilliant.
Sorry,
All
quickest
right.
as well.
Quickest. Yeah.
There was Jesus, quickest. Not too many. There's definitely not in our team anyway. Quickest. There was a boy. I haven't got a quickest to play with because I can't really put a finger on it. But I played against a guy who played for Chelsea, Alex Kawamia, and I think he had something stupid. He done like 100 meters and like just under 11 seconds or 10 seconds or something like this. But he was seriously quick.
Brilliant. All right. Last couple of Keepie Uppies. Oh, where'd they go? So, best all round player that got better with age, and the player who always gave 100%.
Best all round player there was a boy again at Aston Villa, was a boy called Daniel Crowley. I think he's at Birmingham maybe now. But he went to actually he signed for Arsenal from Aston Villa, but he was like a wizard. Like you just couldn't get the ball off him. You could stand there with your two legs closed and he'd still not make it. But he was he was tiny as well. It's sort of, and it's like I'm quite small, but he was smaller than me. So definitely the best player would be him for me. The player that get better with the age. I don't really have too many that probably because I've had that many clubs that I've played long enough with. But just in terms of pure age, I'll give Pete McCann a shout because he's older than my dad to be fair. But no, I'll give Pistol Pete the shout. We can do well with getting him back as well. Obviously, he's probably not too far away from coming back now from the hand injury,
Absolutely.
which would be a positive for us, as I'd say.
I'll have to get him on the podcast as well.
No, definitely. I'd say that man would definitely have a story. So he
Always a
would.
story or two to tell, I'm sure. They used to kick us around the pitch playing for poor down boys. So, yeah.
Nah, no,
All right,
he's
last
grand.
one then. Player who always gave 100%.
Player who always gave 100%. I would go. Let me think. I've already said that, so I'm not giving them two because then I'll walk in the train in the morning, his head will be massive. I'll go. Do you know what? I think for us, I'll keep it low. I'll keep it within the team. I'll say give Paddy Judge a shout. I think no matter what, he's probably one of the most. What's the word? He's just obviously always seems to put in a good performance. He's just
Yeah.
regularly performing well. He's always seems to be in the right place at the right time. He'll stick his head, on anything more or less. He's fantastic in the air. He reads the game well, and he covers a lot of ground. I mean, obviously he'd have to do a lot of running. Beller's like a snail, but turns like a Liverpool boat, as I tell him all the time. But yeah, no, I'll go Paddy Judge on that one.
Oh, very good. Very good. And he's chasing you down for their Man of the Match awards.
I know it's a disgrace. I think they've been watching it with the blinkers on the last load of weeks. So
There's a few Tones fans on the sidelines,
I'd say so.
Like to throw the pound in the
I
envelope.
used to say I would be winning it every week. It was a Lurgan man, but sure.
Well, you're an adapted Lurgan man
I
now.
know I'm getting there. I'm spending more time in Lurgan than I am at home at the minute.
I'm telling you.
No,
Listen, Tats has spun the wheel of Berba here, so I'm hoping that this will you'll be able to hear this. I'm gonna play it.
right.
Just let me know you can hear it, and then we go with two questions for you to finish up.
Dead on.
So bear with me.
No worries.
So Tats is unfortunately not able to attend, but he's a busy man. So hopefully you can hear this. Just let me know.
And your topic is going to be, Gary, legends go dating. So you're going to be going on a date with two legends, dead or alive. Can be football related or non-football related, sporting or non-sporting. It's up to you. So two legends. Who are they? Who are you going to date with? Why have you chosen them? And what's going to be your tipple? So what are you going to be drinking? You pint of something? Maybe a cocktail? Let us know.
Oh, two, jeebers. Hey, do you know what? In terms of legends, I would say Ronaldinho would be one because he was a maniac in his day. But yeah, I'll go Ronaldinho for one and George Best for the other one. I think his story sort of way speaks for itself. Love the pint, but yeah, no, it'd be hard to go against the pint of Madry, to be fair, or a pint of Guinness. Madry or Guinness, yeah.
All right, nice, right. And he spun the wheel of Berba again.
And the next one, if we have time. One of our here. Oh, ultimate five-a-sides. Always seems to get picked. So, Gary, you're going to be the gaffer. You have to pick a five-a-side team. So, 4 players. Dead or alive. 4 legends of the game. And then 1 player that either you're currently playing with at Oxford Sunnyside or you've played with in the past. So basically you have to pick a 5-a-side team, 4 legends, dead or alive, and 1 player that you currently play with or you've previously played with, and you're the manager. And just a slight wee twist as well, because we kind of get sick of everybody picking them. You're not allowed to pick Messi, and you're not allowed to pick Ronaldo. Okay, cheers.
Okay, I think I remember Daggy McVeigh doing that. I couldn't believe he put Adam Raj in with Rooney, Ronaldinho, and Iniesta. But no, 5-a-side. Current teammate, I would go. Put big Paddy Judge at the back. He's good feet. He's quick. He's good left foot on him. I would go then Ronaldinho. I would go Maradona. Iniesta as well. Quality. What's that leave me? One more, 2 more. 1 more?
So you're going, so Fly Nets, obviously, Paddy Judge is just last man back.
Yes, he's sweeping up.
Dead on.
I'll go in the middle. I'll go Iniesta. And I would go Maradona, and then play Ronaldinho on the 10, and I would have Brazilian Ronaldo up top.
That's hard to
So
beat. That's hard to beat. We're going
we'll
to have to
see.
compare and contrast these legends side to side and see computer generate, see who'll win.
Yeah, no, it'd be good. I know any team with Adam Robertson is bound to lose. To be fair.
Big time. Big time. No, that's not fair. That's not fair.
No, he's a good lad, a good player.
That's not fair. We'll just see. Pat's had just two more questions. I was going to ask Gary how the move came about. We've already discussed that, which was good. And then he said about club captain Dacky said if the team didn't win the league and didn't get promoted via the playoffs, then it's not a successful season. Do you share that view?
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, don't get me wrong. That's I think the sort of way it sit down. But even before that, sorry, no, I think it was, as far as I remember, it was after we won the Bob Radcliffe, and it was Pete McCann said, and I agree with him completely. He says, look, he says good teams win cups, but he says great teams win leagues. So, yeah, no, definitely agree with that. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Everybody wants to win the league, but there's no real. I think the direction that the club's going in, and the things that are being put in place and the improvements that are being made around the club and stuff. I think that that next step has to be gaining promotion, and winning the league just obviously isn't enough. What do you do? You win the league, go back and play in Middlesbrough again next year.
Yeah,
I think everybody would be disappointed about that. I think we're more than good enough to. I mean, we've already shown. I think we've played two teams from the Premier Intermediate League, and over them two teams, we've beat them 5-0. We've beat obviously Banbridge and Darlington 2-0. And I think you could, anybody watching could see we were by far the better side. It wasn't just a case of having one good game, but yeah, no, I think we're far more in terms of the players that we have in the team. We're well equipped to go and compete at that next level. I think the club is going in the direction of, being ready to take our next step into the next level. So anything other really than promotions, like cups and stuff like that. I mean, at the end of the day, it's good to win the cups. Don't get me wrong, but I think the main card is the promotion into the next league.
yeah, no, 100%. I think you said it perfectly. There's not much else I can add to that. As I say, the will and the want from us all is the same, and
Yeah,
these boys have proved it on the pitch and off the pitch. We're striving to do
yeah.
what,
Well, it's
what we can
definitely
do no matter what.
beneficial that obviously you being a chairman or whatever, and the rest of the committee or whatever it is everybody's pulling in the same direction. You know what I mean? There's not realistic, because I've been at clubs where the club meeting have been really ready to go and take a next step. Look, for example, when I was a Crumlin Star, they've not even got their own pitch. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
again,
yeah,
that team that I played in, we won the treble three years in a row. We won the Intermediate Cup, we won the league comfortably, but run away with it 3 years in a row. And we were obviously not in a position. The club weren't in a position to take the next step. They had no ground of their own or whatever. But it's great about Oxford is everybody's pulling the same direction, and you're driving us on the sort of way do everything off the pitch to be in a position to go to the next level, and then obviously we're fingers crossed on our way to deliver it as well on the pitch.
brilliant, brilliant. That's the perfect way to end the podcast, mate. Listen, thanks for your time. We went long there. I hope you enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed listening to it. We could talk for another hour because I feel like there's plenty more stories. So
No,
we
there
can
is as
maybe
well.
catch up again and dig a wee bit deeper.
Absolutely, anytime. I really appreciate it, man. I enjoyed it myself.
Good man. Good
So
man. I'll let you go.
no
I'll let you
problem,
go.
mate. All right,
All right,
cheers.
take care. We'll get this
Thanks.
published for Friday. Good
Sounds
man.
good, mate. Adios. Bye bye. Bye
Thanks,
bye.
Gary. Cheers. Bye.
Keepie Uppies with Richie and Tots.